So this is lesson 32, Algebra 2, the problem set. And usually the hard part with some of these is trying to figure out which parts of the triangle correspond to each other. Obviously, since this one is 4 and this one is 4, they correspond, which means that this one, because it's got a line here and this one has a line, they're going to correspond, which means this one and this one correspond. So in order to find x and p, set this equal to this, find your x, plug that number in here, and set it equal to p there, and then you should be fine. So how are you doing with the story problems? This is problem set 1 through 6. Let's just kind of glance at number 3. Bruce discovered that the wishing well contained $9 in nickels. So he had $9 in nickels and dimes, and that there were 30 more dimes than nickels. So we've got, when you take the number, let's make it cents. 5 cents and 10 cents. And you multiply that by the number of nickels and that by the number of dimes. So let's put number down there for the number of nickels, number of dimes. You get $9, which would mean 900 pennies. Okay, so remember, if you don't use a decimal on your 10 cents and 5 cents, you can't use a decimal on your $9, so it has to be 900 cents. Alright, so that's one equation. And there were 30 more dimes than nickels. So there were 30 more dimes than nickels. So dimes minus 30 would equal the number of nickels. But there's 30 more. So in order to make them equal, we had to subtract 30. So there's 2 equations there that you can use. And you can just take that and substitute in there, and you're down to one equation, and you should be good. Number 4 says Sarah knew that 40% of the mixture was calcium. If 300 kilograms of other elements were used, so that means 60% of other elements were used. And that 60% of the total gave us 300 kilograms. So 60%, 30% or 40% of the total was calcium, Ca. So what was the total weight of the mixture? Well, you're going to take 60% of the total, and that will give you 300, or 60% of the total will give you 300, so that means you do the math here, because total is what we're looking for, right? 0.60 of the total equals 300. Divide by 0.6, divide by 0.6, and your total then would be 300 divided by 0.6. So 6, hedonism was pandemic. Basically, hedonism is self-gratifying, doing whatever you can just to make yourself happy. Pandemic means that it's out of control. So that's just those crazy vocabulary words that they give you. 7, 8, 9 should not give you any problem. We just went over some of those. And 11 is a little bit fun. 10 is a little bit fun too. Let's see. Let's do number 16 while I'm looking at it. 3 square root of 125 minus 2 square root of 45 plus 3 square root of 20. Okay, remember, you've got to learn how to find two numbers multiplied together that are going to give you that 125, and you can take the square root of one of them. That's the ideal way you want to be. It doesn't have to be, but it just makes life easier when you can do that. And then I can take the square root of 25, pull it out, left with 5 in there. Take the square root of 9 and leave the 5 in there. Take the square root of 4 and leave that 5 in there. And we get 15 square root of 5 minus 6 square root of 5 plus 6 square root of 5. Those cancel each other out because one's a positive and one's a minus, and we're left with that. So I know I went kind of fast there, but you can slow me down. 17, 4 square root of 5 times 2 square root of 10 minus 3 square root of 5. We're going to first of all distribute these. That here and that there. So I get 8 square root of 50, multiplication, you can do anything. 4 times 3 is 12, square root of 5 times square root of 5 is the square root of 25, which is 5. So we get 8, and again, remember, break it down into two terms where you can take the square root of one of them. Square root of 25 is 5, so we pull that out. That's going to give me 40. And that is all I can do. I can't combine this with this because I don't have a square root of 2 over here, so you can't combine those. Alright, so 20 and through 23, they gave you several, giving you an opportunity to factor the GCF as the first step. Factor things out of there. Meaning, we're going to factor out a 2. First of all, that's leaving me with this. Okay, then I'm going to factor out an x. That leaves me with 2 here, 1 there, and none there. And then I can factor out a negative if I want, and when I factor out a negative, all the signs inside change. And that is my answer then for 20. So go ahead and finish those up, and that's just a couple problems in lesson 32 in Algebra 2.